SB. We have a very renowned resource person, Engineer Anish Mohan. On behalf of IEEE PES Embassy CET SB, I welcome you, sir, and all the participants present. Engineer Anish Mohan, he is currently Global Relations Coordinator of IEEE PESYP Kerala chapter. It's my pleasure to introduce Engineer Anish Mohan before you. Sir, please.
Yeah, good evening. I hope I'm audible to you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a pleasure to take a session on resume, GD, and interview. Okay. I congratulate IEEE SBMBCCET for conducting such a session for the students, which is very relevant in this scenario. I'd like to share my screen. Tell me whether it's visible or not. Okay. Okay. Is it visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I think
Yes,
we
sir.
can start the session right now. So, first of all, I would like to confirm whether all of you are from Kerala or is there anyone from outside Kerala? So that I can switch between languages in between.
Sir, I am from outside Kerala. Sir.
Okay, don't worry, I'll continue in English. Yeah. So, Experientia, okay, Experientia is the name of the event, and today we will be discussing about not only my experience, okay, I'll not only discuss about my experience. Some of you, I'll give you some tips regarding this interview, GD, and resume, okay, and afterwards I'll share my experience. Okay, it will be better to know about those tips. Okay, so let's start straight away. Start the session. Experience, yeah. First of all, I would like to start with the resume because anyone who is willing to take a job or going for an interview, the first step is knowing about the job and then preparing your resume, customized resume. I prefer customized resumes for specifically for a particular job. Okay, and then you will be if you're selected for this second round, there will be GD or there will be any other some intermediate things, and afterwards you will be having an interview, and then you will be selected. Okay, so we will also be moving in this direction. First we will discuss about resume, then we will discuss about GD, and then we will discuss about interviews. Okay, so resume. So we all know that first impression is the best impression. Okay, and you will never get a second chance to create a first impression. So for an employer, okay, for an employer, your resume is your first impression. So it is your chance to create a first impression with your resume. If you have a very good resume, then your first impression is created. Then all those things which comes later can be handled by you. The first thing you have to be sure about that is the employer must select you for this interview or the GD or second round. So first round is clearing this selection process. Okay, and for this selection process you have to create a very good resume. So what is a resume? A resume is a short account, 1 to 2 page of your experiences, qualifications, and achievements. Its goal is to capture the reader's interest. Okay, here the reader is your employer. Most resumes only get 20 to 30 seconds scanned by the reader. That's the point here. Okay, that's why it is restricted to 1 to 2 pages. It is recommended a one-page resume, and you can go up to 2 pages. Okay, in case of resume. And don't confuse with resume and CV. I'll explain the differences between resume and CV. Okay. And in case of resume, when you are sending a resume for a particular job, uh, you should imagine one thing. Okay, for that particular job, there will be hundreds and hundreds of people applying for that particular job. Okay, so this employer is sitting there and scanning these resumes. So he will not be reading this entire thing, and he will just take 20 to 30 seconds for scanning your resume. So within that time, you should be able to impress that employer. So that will be your motive while writing a resume. It must have enough impact to grab the attention of the prospective employer. So next, let's look the difference between resume and CV. Most of the people are confused between resume and CV. Okay, so the main difference is that resume is for jobs and CV is for academics. Okay, resume emphasizes the skills, but CV emphasizes curriculum vitae, emphasizes the academic accomplishments. And resume is mainly used when applying for a position in an industry, non-profitable public sectors, etc. For example, in case of IEEE, IEEE is a non-profitable organization. So if you are applying for a particular position in IEEE, you can prepare a one-page resume. Okay, and if you are preparing for an academic position, okay, or you are preparing for your higher studies, then you will have to prepare a CV. Okay, CV can be more than 2 pages, it can be 3 pages, because it should highlight the entire thing, what you are studied and what are your qualifications, what are your publications, if you have done any papers or not. All those things should be highlighted in a CV. But in case of resume, you just have 20 seconds of scanning. So within that 20 seconds, you should be able to catch the attention of the employer. So keeping that in mind, you have to prepare the resume very short. So it is no longer than 2 pages in resume, and in case of CV, it can be greater than that. And that is the main comparison between a resume and CV. Now, let's see what are the employers looking in a resume. What are the things which they want to know about you? These are the things you should include. You should highlight in your resume. Okay, what you can do for me. Suppose I am the employer, and what I will be looking. Okay, what you can do for me. How can you improve my operations? You know, each and every company will be having a separate set of operations, and you should highlight your skills in such a way that yeah, for example, you are applying for a production company, okay, a particular production company, and you are very good at design. So you can highlight like this. I came to know that it is a production company, and the things you should be highlighting that the particular design, okay, this particular design software can be operated by me. So that is how you can customize your resume for different job positions. Okay, can you make money for me? Can you make money for me? Ultimate aim of every employer is that he should get maximum production out of every employee. Okay, ഓരോ എംപ്ലോയിയുടെ കയ്യിൽ നിന്നും മാക്സിമം അവർക്ക് എക്സ്ട്രാക്ട് ചെയ്തെടുക്കാൻ കഴിയണം. Okay, that is the main aim of every employer. So that thing will be expected from the employer, and you have to highlight it. Save me time. Yes, that is the another aspect of an resume. Okay, so each and every employer will look for a person who can make their job very easy. Okay, so you can highlight like this, you can do this thing within this time, or like that. ഓരോ കാര്യങ്ങൾ നമ്മൾ എഴുതുമ്പോഴും we should think that the time saving element, how can we bring this time saving element into this resume? Okay, so it will be great if you can do that and keep my customers happy. What is your qualifications? What are your abilities in managing people? Okay, so that will be considered, and you can highlight your skills. Okay, leadership skills, person handling skills, messaging skills, writing skills. All those things comes under this customer satisfaction. So they will be looking for customer satisfaction, and you can highlight those things. So your resume must not only include the not only show the skills you have, it must demonstrate your success. Okay, You can say, I am a very good leader, I can write well, but uh, they can think that you are just bluffing. Okay, so the thing which you have to do is you have to show them you can do this by expressing some achievements. Okay, maybe you might have won some awards, you might have published some papers. If you have published some papers, you can highlight that so that he can understand that you are a very good writer. That's why your paper got accepted. Okay, if you are a very good leader, you can highlight your position. I have been leading this role, I have been doing this role for past this many years. So he can understand that you are a very good leader. Okay, you can highlight that I have been in this team for past this many years, or I have been in this team for past this many months managing particular position. I have been doing this many these types of works in that team, so that the employer will get to know that you are a very good team player. All those things has to be highlighted. Okay, so the resume should not only contain what are your abilities, it should also contain your success. You have to highlight your success in the resume. Yeah, yeah, the session is 1 hour, and I have about 50 slides, so I'll be going a little bit faster. So three main types of resume. Okay, resume. I'm not focusing about CV here because CV is not in our topic, and we'll be mainly focusing about resume. Okay, resume is particularly for this employment purpose. So there are three main types of resume. One is chronological resume, functional resume, and a hybrid resume. Okay, and there is a much difference between these three types. Okay, most of the students, mainly students, are not unaware of the fact that there are three types of resume and what are the use of these three types of resume. So I'll be highlighting the use and which are situations you should use these type of resumes. Okay, so first one is chronological resume. Chronological resume is a short one, and it will show your work experience, what are the things you have done in a chronological order. Okay, and there is one called reverse chronological resume that will show in the reverse chronological order. And functional resume is mainly focusing on your ability. If you have a lot of abilities and you don't have much work experience, okay, if you don't have much work experience but you have a lot of abilities, then you can use this functional resume. And hybrid one is the combination of these two resumes. Okay, a combination of this chronological and functional resume. We'll get into the detail of all this resume in a while. So chronological resume, you can see a chronological resume in the right side. It is a simple chronological resume, and it is the most common type of resume. Normally the people will be using this chronological resume because it is quite simple to do this thing. Almost the format is almost same for all chronological resumes. You can simply copy paste things, and you can just add up some extra things. You can easily speculate one. So it is the most common type of resume. It lists previous jobs and dates. Okay, most recent first. So that is chronological. Okay, most recent job should be put in the first position. That is the chronological method of preparing a resume. And the specialty here is that we will be writing like this. From 2010 to present, I have been working as a master electrician. From 2008 to 10, I've been an electrician. 2005 to 8, I've been a retail clerk, all those things. So the thing is that the employer will came to know that what you have been doing from 2005 to present. And imagine you have passed, you have been a pass out of 2014, and you have not been doing anything. You have been unemployed. You are doing some other works or some other skill related works. Okay, so you cannot highlight like this. You cannot say that I have been doing from 2015 to 16, not doing anything. From 16 to 17, I have been designing something. You cannot write like that. So in that case, you cannot use this chronological CV. Okay, because in a chronological CV, you will be highlighting from this period to this period what you have been doing in specific. So if you have been employed continuously, there is no gap between your employments, then you can use this chronological CV. Yeah, it identifies work accomplishments and skills connected to each job. It is easier to prepare and generally successful. yeah, it is quite easier to prepare because almost all these things, objective, summary, or objective, summary, all those things are a specific format of chronological series. You can just rewrite all those things. You can put the subjective here, and you can write your objective, okay, and your summary. All those things can be written here. That is a quite simple way of doing a resume. And formatting of a chronological resume, okay. So first you have to write the contact information. It is very important to write the contact information in the top, okay. This is the name, your address, your email ID, your LinkedIn profile, and all those things should be written in the top, okay. And objective or career profile. So what is your objective in your career? As an engineer, what is your objective? As an architect, what is your objective? Okay, all those things should be written in a single sentence or a two in this objective section. Okay, then summary, what you have been doing or in the past, what is your experiences, what are your main abilities, all those things can be written in the summary. Okay, and then work experience. Work experience means your chronological order of work experience. The latest one will be coming the first position, and then so on towards the down. Then your education. You can highlight the years, okay, in which year you have passed out from the university, and what are the degrees you have. All those things can be highlighted in the education section. And the professional affiliations, okay. Professional affiliations means I've been part of IEEE, I've been part of Engineers Association, I'm a certified engineer. All those things can be written in the special license or the professional affiliations. So that is the formatting of a chronological CV. And the structure. It should be consistent, and it should consist of a structure, make it easy to read, to skim. Okay, skimming is the main important point here. So a person which is looking in who is looking into the CV, he should be able to read all those things within this 20 seconds. Okay, within this 20 seconds, he should understand what you are capable of. All those things should be done within the 20 seconds. So make it simple, make it one page. It is recommended. And these are the font and all those things. Recommended font is 10 to 12, and this format should be, you should make your name and position bold, and all those. You should not make all those things bold. Just the important things should be made bold. And in case of dates, you can use month and year. You don't need to be specific. You don't need to say that 23/10/2020 or like that. You just say April 2020, April 2015, or like this. Okay, then try to make it in a white paper. Okay, white background. I have seen many resumes. Even I made my first resume very colorful. Okay, and it got rejected in many companies. So it's better to make it very simple and white. The spacing should be 1 or 2 lines. Just recommendations. And these are few tips for making this chronological resume. I will not be explaining in that detail for the coming resumes. These tips can be used for that resumes also. So it should be short bulleted statements. Okay, you can use this bulletin points. You can see this bulletin points here. You can use this bulletin points so that this reader can make it out of your resume very easily. Use numbers and percentages. Okay, you can I don't have a sample with you, but if you search for graphical resumes, okay, so this there are some certain resumes for particular job position. For example, if you are a designer, okay, if you are a designer, you can highlight which are software you are capable of doing. Okay, you have expertise in Photoshop, Illustrator, Lightroom, and all those things. You can say that I am 75% expert in Photoshop. I am 100% expert in Lightroom. I am just 20% expert in this Illustrator. All those things you can highlight with, by using percentages, so that the employer can easily grab which all software you are capable of at the most. And avoid using this I or me. Don't highlight that I am something, I can do this, I've been doing like this, and don't use these words I and me. Okay, and start your statement with action verbs. Okay, action verbs means dancing is my hobby, or making robots is my hobby, or like that. You can start with this action words so that they can grab easily from your resume that which are the things you can do. So that was the tips regarding chronological resume and advantages. This a chronological resume clearly shows what position you have held and for how long. And the recruiter are typically more familiar with the chronological resume because it is quite easy for them to read this chronological resume. So they will be preferring this chronological resume. Chronological resume gives you an advantage if you have worked with well-known companies, okay? Because you're highlighting this years, okay? From 2005 to 2008, I've been working with Robert Bosch, and from 2008 to 2010, I've been working with this Siemens. And if you do like that, you're highlighting your position and the company here, then they will get to know that okay, this person have been working with this prominent companies, and he should be efficient because these companies have a very tough criteria of selection, and he had passed through all those things. So it will be better to hire this person to our company. So you can highlight like that. And a recruiter prioritize chronological resume when they are hiring for senior executive position because most of the senior executive position require experience. So your experience can be simply highlighted using this chronological area, okay? This chronological part of your experience. So that are the advantages of chronological resume. It has got few disadvantages, okay? Make gaps in your work history. If you have some gaps in your work history, you cannot do this because you should leave these areas unhighlighted. Okay, for example, this 2008 to 2010, I've not been doing anything. So you cannot leave that area simply unfilled. So in that case, this chronological resume is not recommended. This format is not ideal if you are applying for a position in a field in which you have not worked before. നിങ്ങൾ നേരത്തെ എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ് ഇല്ലാത്ത ഒരു ഏരിയയിലാണ് നിങ്ങൾ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നതെങ്കിൽ it is not recommended to use this chronological type of resume. And if you are a student or just starting your career, chronological resume would draw attention of your lack of experience because most of the students does not have any experience because even though the companies are asking for 5 years of experience for a BTech student who has just passed out, we cannot give them that experience. So in case of students, the thing which you can highlight is your skills and your abilities and your experiences in just some societies or technical areas, okay, like IEEE or something like that. So in order to highlight all those skills, it will be better to go with a functional resume, okay? So if you lack some experience, you don't have much experience, then don't go with chronological resume, go with functional resume, okay? Now we can move on to the functional resume. At the right side here, we have the functional resume. And it also have an objective, a summary of our qualification and relevant skills, okay? Here the experience has been replaced with our skills. We can highlight our skills and we can state which all areas we had worked, and thus they came to know that okay, this person is capable of doing this thing because he has been associated with these type of works before. So it mainly focuses on career profiles in lieu of objective, focuses on job seekers knowledge, skills and abilities, okay? Job seeker is a person who is preparing this resume, and it mainly focuses on our knowledge, skill and abilities, okay? List company names, titles, job dates, etc. in the bottom, okay? If you have some experience, you can highlight it here, but if you give more importance for your skills than your experience, you can use this functional resume because in that case, your employment history will be some internships or short-term courses or 5-day courses or something like that, okay? So in that case, you can use this type of resume by highlighting your skills here in the top, and you can highlight your work experience at the bottom, okay? You may or may not list the number of years experience in a function. And these are the advantages of functional resume. A functional resume can increase your chance of getting an interview because in this case, we are highlighting our skills, okay? So if a particular employer is looking for a particular skill and you have perfectly highlighted your skill in a functional resume, then it will be easier for them to call you, okay? So while skimming, they will be selecting this. Okay, I need a designer. Okay, they will be looking at the skills and they will sort out the designers first. Okay, and all those people who are not highlighted that I am a designer, they will be rejected firstly, and the designers, the resume of the designers will be collected, and then they need to know about the person who know this particular software. Then they will be looking at the persons with particular softwares. So if you are highlighting your software skills, all those things in the relevant skills, then you'll be getting standing a chance to get an interview. So functional resumes are the easier way to get an interview call. Okay, this type of document is preferred for transformation into a different career track. So if you're switching from one career to another, okay, if you're switching from one career to another, you are a mechanical engineer. Suppose you are a mechanical engineer, but you need to do some designing works, because most of people are turning into this software designing and programming and all those things nowadays, because it's more interesting than or other areas of engineering. Okay, so most of them want to switch their career from this particular stream to some other streams. So in that case, you cannot show a work experience here, because you have been working as a mechanical engineer for past few years. Now you want to switch to some computer science fields. So in that case, you can highlight your skills. What are your skills can be highlighted in this section. What are your skills in computer science fields? What are your programming skills? What are your abilities in particular programming languages? What all works you have done? Which are softwares you have designed? Which are website you have designed? All those things can be highlighted in the relevant skills area, so that you'll be easily switched from this particular mechanical field to computer science field by highlighting your skills in the computer science area. Okay, functional resumes feature job titles and company names, but don't offer detailed timelines, because most of the students, in case of students, there will be breaks in their career. Okay, they will be working for one year, then they will be taking a break, or they'll be doing some internships or some studies, some 6-month course or something, then they will be doing another job. So there will be breaks in their career. So in order to avoid this breaks, or in order to unhighlight these breaks, you can use this functional resume. Okay, these are the disadvantages of functional resume. Functional resume can play against you with recruiters who assume you are exploring details of your employment. That is, when a particular employee is looking for some experienced person, if you're giving a functional resume, he know that you are not experienced. Straight away, he can reject your resume. So if you are looking for some job with a particular experience, you can avoid using functional resume. You can go with this chronological resume. Okay, and functional resume does not clarify, showcase your career growth or development in the past jobs. Same thing, it will not be showing your timeline of jobs. Okay, this format doesn't work well in traditional fields like law or finance, because all these areas, law and finance, and all these particular areas need experience. So what they are telling is that after completing your bachelor's, you should start working in small companies or small with small other firms, and you should gain some experience, and then you have to apply for bigger jobs. So in that case, you cannot use a functional resume, because functional resume does not highlight this particular job experience in case of laws and finance. So that are the advantages and disadvantages of functional resume. And next we have the hybrid resume. Hybrid resume means the combination of these two things. Okay, you need to highlight your work experience as well as you need to highlight your skills. You need to highlight both those things in particular areas. So in that cases, you have to go with the hybrid resumes. Okay, combination resume, it is also called combination resume. Okay, combination resume work well for job seekers with significant amount of job history and who also have strong abilities and accomplishments. So consider you are a person with lot of experience and you also have a lot of skills, because for example, you have a 20 years of experience. Okay, you have a 20 years of experience, but you doesn't know some particular latest softwares and all, then you will be rejected. So in that case, you can show like this: I've been working for past 20 years, and I have an experience in these many companies, and also I am capable of doing all these softwares, latest softwares, and I know this latest programming languages and all those things. Okay, I'm I know the latest standards and latest equipments available in the market. All those things can be highlighted in your skills area, and also you can highlight your experience. For doing these two things in parallel, you can use the hybrid resume section. Okay. And recruiters welcome the combination resume format for senior executive position, because in senior executive positions you need skills and also you need experiences. Okay, this format is suitable for job seekers who want to change career and have worked for well-known companies. Okay, uh, you have suppose you are an electrical engineer, you have worked with a lot of very good electrical companies. Okay, you have been a part of Bosch, ABB, Siemens, and all those things, and now you want to switch your career to a computer science field, and you have no experience in computer science, but you are well experienced in electrical field. So you can highlight your skills, and you can also show that I have been working with this many companies, so I have some managerial skills and all those things. I have a company experience for past 10 years, and also I am capable of doing this computer science work, so please give me a job. So in order to highlight those things, a hybrid resume will be better. When a candidate has worked for the same employer or held the same position for a long time, then the combination format will highlight the candidate expertise and achievements. Okay. Yeah. For example, if you are applying for a higher position in your own company, you are working in a company for past these many years, and you are working for you are looking for a higher position for some managerial positions, then you can do this resume. Okay, so that you can show that I have been doing these many jobs in the company for the past this many years, and now I am applying for a managerial job, and I have these many managerial skills. I have managed these many projects and all those things, and so please give me this job. So in that case, also hybrid resume will help you in achieving that job. So these are the advantages of hybrid resume, and these are the disadvantages. Combination resumes can become longer than other formats, because here you have to highlight all those things. Okay, you have to highlight your experience as well as you have to highlight your abilities, your works, your publications, and all those things should be highlighted. So it may go beyond 2 pages. Okay, if you have much more experience, then it may go beyond 2 pages. And the danger is that they might not go through these 3 pages. Okay, they might not go through these 3 pages. They might go through the first page, and then they will choose whether to select or reject. Okay, and career changes, job happenings, and employment gaps are noticeable in work history section, because if you are changing your career, it can be easily be it can easily be noticed by looking your experience and your skills. Okay, if you are applying for a career change, then your experience will be in particular field, and the skills you have highlighted will be in some other field. It can be easily be noticed. So it is in one way an advantage, and in the other way it's a disadvantage. So that is all about hybrid resumes. And this thing, okay, a covering letter, it's a bonus thing. Okay, it's not part of a resume, and you can either include this thing or exclude this thing. It's not mandatory to have a cover letter. Some companies prefer having a cover letter, some may not look into a cover letter because it's quite lengthy. Okay, so I'll just explain what is a cover letter. A covering letter is something that you are going to show what you are applying for. Okay, it accompanies a resume and tells the employer why he or she is receiving this resume. Okay, you are telling that I am sending the resume because I came to know that there is a job position. I am capable of doing all those things, and what is in your CV, you are writing it as a summary. Okay, so in a covering letter, you can convince the employer why you are the best candidate. Okay, because we cannot include all those things, all those stories in the resume, but you can write those stories, more short stories in this covering letter, showing that I am the best person for this job. I've been doing this thing. I had handled such and such situations, and all those things can be included in the covering letter. So it is not recommended to use a covering letter, but it's better if you can use a covering letter. If you can prepare one for you, then it will be better. And make sure it is customized for this particular job. Okay, and first thing you can highlight that why you are the best candidate. Then what you understand the position for which you are applying for. Okay, so you can tell them that I know these are the skills which are required for this particular position, and I know I am capable of doing all those things because I have been associated with all those things for the past this many period. Okay, why should why you should be considered for this interview? Okay, because resume is the one which is going to decide whether you are going to be called for this interview or not. So in the covering letter, you can show that I am capable of doing all those things, and why the specific reason why you should be considered for the interview. Because you can say that I've been doing these many things in the particular company, and I can help you out in this situation by um, bringing out my expertise in this field. And if you give some surprise element, that's my personal tip. If you give some surprise element in this covering letter, okay, so in order to know that surprise element, these people will be calling you for the interview. Okay, that's a personal tip. And one more thing, if you are highlighting that I have been you are applying for a particular electrical based company. Okay, you are applying for Bosch, for example. You are applying for Bosch and you have worked with Siemens. Both of these companies have almost similar ideologies and almost similar products. Okay, so if you have been working with Bosch and you are applying for Siemens, then the thing which is going to happen is that they will know that okay, this person has been working with Bosch. Okay, and if I take him, I select him for the interview, then I will get to know what are the things he had done in the Bosch company, and I can make use of these things in my company. So if you give such a surprise element in your covering letter, then your chances of getting an interview call will be high. Yeah, these are the some links. Okay, these are some links for resume samples. So all those things I explained is how to prepare a resume. Okay, and other thing which is going to come is the format. Okay, you can design your resume. If you give a very good design for your resume, your chances of getting selected. That is one psychological approach of being selected with your resume. Okay, so you can design your resume with all those. This is some website available in internet. I can share you these links in the chat box later on. Oh, I'll do one thing. I'll just right away share it. No, okay. I'll share it afterwards. Okay, I'll share it after this presentation. You can check out these links because they have customized resumes, customized resume format. Most of them are free to be downloaded, and they have this particular city.com has this customized for different job positions. Okay, if you're applying for a particular job position, you can use these things. And Europass is the official website for resume making for the from the European Union. Okay, if you're applying for a CV or a resume for some studies in Europe, you can use this European Union's Europass website. It's very good resume CV making website, and I had personally used this thing. My CV is made using this Europass. Okay, that's all about resume. If you have some doubts in resume, you can ask me now. Otherwise, we can move on to the group discussion session. Almost half an hour, and we have a limited time. So if you have some doubts, you can right away ask me. Yes, Vidya, you have some doubts? Yeah. Okay, get ready with your doubts. We can handle all those things after the session if the time permits. So we can move on to the next session, that is group discussion. Okay, group discussion is the um, second phase of getting towards your dream job. Okay, that is, you have sent your resume and you have been selected for the interview. Okay, before this, for the second round, it may be there may be an aptitude session, and after that you will be selected for the GD, or there may be only GD, and after that you have an interview like that. Okay, and in the group discussion, these are the importance of group discussions. Okay, it helps in understanding a candidate's interpersonal skills. Okay, that is the main aim of group discussions, because in an interview, one person will be knowing what are your skills, and you will be prepared for presenting all your skills before a person. But in case of group discussion, you will be given a particular topic, and in case of interview, we cannot give you a topic and ask you to speak about this topic. But in case of group discussion, you will be given a general topic. It may or may not be about your job position or something like that. It will be a general topic, and you'll be asked to discuss in a group. So that lot of things regarding a person or a candidate can be grabbed from this group discussion, because
Sir,
while
sorry
speaking,
for
yeah,
sir,
yes.
sorry for interrupting. Sir, PPT is
Yes.
not visible.
Okay. Okay. One second. I think. Yeah. Sorry for the interruption. My lap just got disconnected from the network. I'll just rejoin. Wait for a few minutes. Okay.
In the meanwhile, if you have any queries, you can post it on the chat box.
Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Someone is asking, can we get the slides of the session? Yes, of course. I'll send you the PDF version of the slide after this. I'll hand it over to the organizers of this meeting, and they'll send you via mail or something. Or if you have a personal group, they can post it there. So we were discussing about group discussions, right? Yeah. So these are the importance of a group discussion. It helps in understanding a candidate's interpersonal skills. Okay, if you are how you deal with other people, not dealing with an interviewer or the employer, how you deal with other people, how you deal with situations. Okay, how you handle the situations. All these things can be grabbed from a group discussion. Okay, it helps in identifying if a candidate has the ability to work in a team. That is a main aim of a group discussion. Okay, to know your ability to work in a team, because almost all the companies which are hiring, they are going to put you in a particular team for a project or something like that, and if you are only capable of being in a team, then it will be fruitful for the company. If you are not capable of being in a team, you can only work individually, then there is no point in hiring you for the particular position. If you are, if it is for a managerial role or something like that, then there will not be any group discussion session. So most of the cases when there are project works, and in case of IT companies, then there will be a group discussions, because most of these IT companies and all the this electronics companies are mainly working in groups. Okay, particular project works. So all these projects will be handled to a particular group, and you will be part of this group. So if you are not a good team player, then you will not be able to continue your work there. So in order to know your abilities for being in a group, then for that they will be conducting a group discussion. Okay, it helps in understanding one's attitude, because um, we cannot fake our identity, we cannot fake our attitude for a long period. Okay, because most of the group discussion will be lasting for a long period, and towards the starting we will be in a particular position that, okay, I will not say like that, I will not say like that. And when situation comes, when we get naturally involved in this group discussion, our original attitude will comes out. Okay, that is the main motive of doing this group discussion. Okay, they need to know our attitude, how we will behave in such a particular situation, how we will handle those situations in a particular situation, whether we will break down, whether we will raise our voice in particular areas, whether we are more focused on religious matters or social matters other than these job related areas. All those things can be understood from a group discussion. So that is one good reason for conducting group discussion. Finally, it helps in selecting a perspective candidate in the perspective methodology, because they can design this group discussion in such a way that they will get the best candidate. Okay, in order to seek the best out of you, they will design the group discussion in that such a way. So those are the importance of the group discussion. And next we will discuss some of the do's and don'ts in a group discussion. What all things you have to do while in a group discussion, and what all things you should not do while in a group discussion. Okay, these are the do's of group discussion. Appropriate to the issue. Okay, you will be given a particular topic. You will be given a particular topic, and you should stay in that topic. You should not deviate from the topic. Okay, you should completely understand the topic. You will be given a 5 minutes or 10 minutes time after giving the topic. Okay, you will not be straight away give a topic and they will say start speaking about it. That is not the scenario. They will be giving a particular time period for you to prepare. Okay, so in that time, or 5 minutes or 10 minutes time, be ready with your pen and paper. Always keep a short notepad or paper with you along with the pen, so that you can note down the points, and you should completely understand what is the topic about. You should and you have to make the decision whether you should stay for that topic or stay against that topic. Okay, you have to make your mind, okay, I have this is a topic and I'm going to stay for this topic. Okay, I'm going to say in support of this topic, and that thing should be decided during this period, this 5 minute short period which is given to you for the preparation. Okay, note down the points to speak and stay relevant to the topic. You should make these points relevant to the topic. You should not bring an external matter into this discussion. Okay, that is the first thing. And make original points and support them by substantial reasons. Okay, do not fake your points. For example, you're going to yeah you're going to speak about a particular topic. Okay, you are going to speak about a particular topic, and you're supporting that topic. Okay, you're supporting that topic, and you don't know much points regarding that topic, and you don't know much points how to support this topic. So the natural thing you are going to do is that you are going to fake a particular point. This thing has happened in this position, and from that incident I can tell you that what this point, the point which I am telling is relevant. Okay, you cannot fake that, because this persons who is monitoring this GD will be much more intelligent than you. So they will be having much more experience than you, and also this candidates. Okay, these people in the group discussion, they also know that If you are faking, they'll catch it and they'll say that no, that's I think that's not right. That point is not correct. That is an incorrect point. Then you will lose your marks. So do not fake a point. If you don't have point, just wait. Okay. I'll tell you when, which is a particular point in which you can grab these points. Okay. And next, provide some examples to validate your point. If you are telling a particular point, always give an example. For example, yeah, I'm telling that what particular topic? Yeah, automation. Okay, automation is my topic, and so, you are asked to discuss on automation, and you are going to stand for this automation. You are telling that automation is better, and automated homes are better than unautomated homes. Okay, so you are saying that automation is better because I have seen such a home, and it will be capable of checking the status, whether the doors are closed, whether light are turned off, even after leaving the home. Okay, that is a very good example stating that automation is better than unautomated homes. Okay, so if you tell a particular point in a group discussion, always back it up with a better example, so that all these panelists as well as the contestants of the GD will understand that okay, that point is relevant because the example is relevant. Okay, and yeah, that's how to make the points original. Okay, do not fake, and listen to other participants very actively and carefully. Okay, because this is a point where you can generate points. Okay, if you are lacking some points, okay, നിങ്ങൾ ഒരു particular ഏരിയയിൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് points അറിയത്തില്ല, and you need to get some points. Okay, you need to get some ideas on which you can develop some points. Okay, so you can get these ideas by listening to others. Other people might be having a lot of points, okay, but they may not be able to express it correctly. If you are good at expressing but you lack some points, you listen to others. Okay, if you are listening to others, they will be giving short points, and you can grab those points and you can use it later on, so that you will get ideas as well as you can present it very in a better way. So listen to others carefully and actively. Okay, and another one is say with a logical flow. Okay, if you are telling something, tell it in a logical flow. Okay, for example, how it started and how you can validate this point, and afterwards you can end it with an example, so that this chronological order is completed, and this listener will also get a perfect idea of your point. Okay, examples validate your point. It shows your confidence about the topic. Okay, because if you are telling a particular topic and you are not backing it up with an example, then they may or may not believe that your point is right or wrong. Okay, so if you back it up with an example and if you show a particular flow in your explanation, then your point will be validated and your confidence will be shown in the GD. Okay, make only accurate statements. Yeah, make only accurate statements, because if you have a particular point with you and you're trying to explain it in a very long method, okay, a very long, we are using very long statements and very long examples, very long stories, then there are chances of getting deviated from the topic. So if you have a particular point, be short, precise to the topic, and the example should also be short and should be precise to the topic. Okay, stick to the point. You should never deviate from the point or the topic given there. So that is the most negative thing you can do in a GD, deviating from this topic. Modulate the volume, pitch, and tone. Okay, modulate the modulation. Voice modulation is very important, because there are situations when other statements might provoke you. Okay, so you should maintain your calmness and maintain your voice. You should not raise your voice, and your voice should not be very low also. Okay, others should be able to hear you. You should show your confidence in your voice, and as well as you should not raise your voice. Okay, use a medium pitch, vary your tone as you speak, and consider the feeling of others. that is also an important point, because in order to win in a GD, in order to succeed in a GD, most of the some people do this tactics. Okay, they will hurt the feeling of others, and if they came to know that okay, this person is good and he has the chance of getting selected for after this GD, then they will do this thing. They will hurt their feelings and they will try to bring them down from their stable state. Okay, you should not hurt their feelings of others. You should not play with the feelings of others, because this persons who are monitoring this GD will be monitoring whether you are doing this, because this is also a criteria while while judging a GD. Okay, you should not quote examples that affect the feeling of any other individuals. Also avoid cultural or religious examples. Okay, that is simply deviating from the topic. You should not deviate from the topic and try to get your turn. Okay, you should not dominate. You should not dominate in a particular GD. You should wait, and every person will be given their turn, and you should wait for your turn. Okay, if you have a particular point, you can just raise your hands, and after um, after the discussion after the turn of one person has over, you can raise your hand and you can tell your point. Okay, and don't interfere while others are speaking. Okay, that is a very bad thing to do in a GD. So sit and wait for your turn, speak at the right time, avoid speaking continuously. Okay, you should not dominate. For example, consider 3 persons, 4 persons. Okay, there is person one, he tell some point, your person two tell your point, then person three told some point, and then it is the chance of person four to speak. Okay, you should not speak after this three had spoken some point and you don't like that point. Okay, then you are saying okay, no, you are not correct, you are incorrect, I have something to add, and you cannot add all those things in between. You have to wait for your turn, and then only you have to speak out. Okay, that is one of the do's of group discussion. Then be active and dynamic, participating in by listening. Okay, you should be active, you should not be dormant while being in a GD. Okay, you should be active, you should be energetic, you should be listening, and even if you are not listening, you should pretend to be listening. Okay, and also you have to write points when others are speaking, and you got an idea. Okay, you got an idea to speak on that, you can note down those points in between, so that this interviewer or the panel will get to know that okay, this person is listening and he is also making notes, because you cannot speak in between while someone is talking, and you cannot interfere and speak beyond him. So it is better to note down that point, this particular point what he had mentioned is not correct according to my opinion. Okay, then you have to write that point, and you can tell them what is your opinion in that particular idea when your turn comes. Okay, so it is better to note down and appreciate those points what you are agreeing with. There will be some person you which had put up an idea which is very good, and you think that it is a very good idea, then you can appreciate it. Because all these things, just imagine that you are in the company and you have to do all those things to impress your employer. Okay, നിങ്ങൾ ഈ കമ്പനിയിൽ ജോയിൻ ചെയ്ത് ഒരു ടീമിൽ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾ എന്തൊക്കെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്താൽ ഈ എംപ്ലോയി നമുക്ക് സാലറി തരും. ഓക്കെ, they will continue with us. Okay, you have to think of that situation and do better in the group discussion. Okay, and talk with confidence and self assurance. Okay, that point has already been discussed. And be encouraging. Okay, be encouraging, that is also a very important point. Okay, because normal thing which has been seen, yeah, it's almost time to end. I might take half an hour more because one more session is left. Is it okay, the organizers? Jaren?
Yes, Cheta, we have some queries. Could you please solve them? Because before, during registrations, we had some questions arised by the participants.
Okay. So I'll just brief it out. Now we have the don'ts also, and also the interview. I'll just share my experience. Okay, so it might take half an hour more. Is it okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. So yeah, we were in the topic. Be encouraging. Be encouraging. This is an important point because the thing which normally seen in a GD, because there might be 20 to 25% or so, something like that, in a group discussion. At most 20. Okay, and there will be few people who are not that much active in nature. Okay, but they have been selected for the interview or the GD because they have skills. Okay, but they are not an active speaker like you. Then you have, what you have to do is that you have to observe all those persons, and you came to know that this particular person is not expressing his opinions. He might have some opinions, but he's not expressing because he's something shy or like that for expressing this opinion. So if you if you tell some particular point, and I think you just put up a statement like this. I think for example, the person's name is Jaren. Okay, Jaren is here, that's why I'm using his name. Okay, this person's name is Jaren, and he's not speaking very actively, and you are telling that, okay, I think you put up some particular point, and you said that I think Jaren has a some opinion in this point. Okay, Jaren, do you have any opinion like that? If you ask like this, then the panelists will came to know that, okay, this person will bring the others into the limelight. Okay, if you, this person is staying calm and standing in a particular side, then this person can bring them to the stage and make them work. So your leadership skill will be highlighted there. So by encouraging others to speak, who is much dormant to speak, then your leadership skill will be highlighted in the group discussion. So it's better to do that thing. And another thing which will gain you points. Okay, this that thing is not included in this PPT. I'll just tell it from my experience. Uh, in the marking scheme, in the marking of a group discussion, the person who is going to start the group discussion, okay, you are given a particular topic, and they will say that, okay, now you can start the session. Okay, start the group discussion. And if you are the person who is going to start the group discussion, you will be getting an extra point. Okay, because most of the people, most of the participants, most of the candidates will be reluctant to start the session. Okay, എല്ലാം തുടങ്ങി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ കണ്ടിന്യൂസ് ആയിട്ട് സംസാരിക്കാൻ എല്ലാവർക്കും പറ്റും, ബട്ട് to start the session it will be much more difficult. And if you're confident enough to start the session, then it will be better to start by yourself, so that you will get an extra point. And also the conclusion of the GD. And if someone is telling the particular person who tells the conclusion of the GD will get an extra point, because you have to summarize what all things has been discussed in this GD, and what are the conclusions you have came to in this group discussion, what are the relevant points has been which has been raised in this GD, and what are the suggestions which came from different persons. All these things can be summarized by the last person. So and you can tell that by this I'm concluding this GD. Okay, so that you will get an extra point. Okay, these two things highlights your ability to speak. Okay, ability to speak in any situations, because starting and ending is a particular situation. In between, talking in between is easy while in a group, but starting a conversation and ending a conversation is very difficult. So if you're capable of doing this thing, so if you're preparing for a GD, prepare for start yourself, prepare for end yourself. Okay, and if you're starting, you should not end. Okay, you are the person who started the GD, and you are the person who is ending the GD. It will show your dominance. Your dominance should not be shown. So if you are starting the GD, you should not end. Some other person should end it. Okay, so that the tips for the GD, and there are some don'ts. Okay, these are things you should not do while in a GD. Okay, don't be shy to raise your voice. Okay, I already mentioned there will be some person who are shy to raise your voice. You should not be one of them. Okay, don't interrupt other participants before their arguments are over. Okay, don't interrupt while others are speaking. You should that's some negative. It shows that you are arrogant in nature, you are not a good listener on all those things. Okay, you can just note down, you can listen to them and note down this point, but not interfere in between. And you should not speak in favor. Okay, for example, establish your position and stand by each step only, because you have established, you have made your mind, I am going to speak for this particular particular topic. Okay, I'm going to support this topic, and in between there are a lot of people who is standing against this topic, and their points are very relevant and very accurate, that you thought that okay, I think I am wrong, and you are going to stay with them and deviating from your point. It is completely wrong, and you will not get any chance in that GD, because it shows that you are deviating from your topic. And if you are given a project and in between you find that some other project is better, then you might go with them. It shows your character is in such a particular way. So it is very bad to change your opinion in between. So you should not move away from your position. Okay, you should stand in your position stubbornly, and you should not change your minds. Okay, in between you should not change your mind. You should make your mind steady, and you should make your mind whether you are for that thing or against that thing, and you should not change your mind until the end. And it is better in the conclusion, your opinion is the final opinion, then you will get extra points. Okay, so better to make the best opinion, best decision while making the whether to stand for or against. And if the conclusion is the decision which you had already taken in the starting, then you will get extra points. Okay, so try to make good decisions and the start, and do not change your minds, and don't make fun of any participants, because there'll be a person who fake their points. Okay, I have already mentioned not to fake their points. And if someone fake their point and you know they are wrong, they are just bluffing out for the sake of this interview, and most of the people might know, because such an incident has not happened, or the incident he mentioned is wrong, you should not laugh at him, you should not make fun of him, because it shows the particular trait of your character, that you are just teasing others. Okay, that thing should not come out from your character. So don't make fun of others in the group, and this shows that you are immature for this job. Okay, your immaturity should not be shown in this group discussions. And don't engage yourself in subgroup conversation. What is the subgroup conversation? Because in some cases there will be introduction of an extra topic. Okay, you are discussing in a particular topic, you're discussing about a particular topic, and in between another topic came into this scene, and all of these participants started discussing about the topic, that is, you had deviated from this particular topic, and you had start discussing about this extra topic. Okay, then this entire group will be disqualified, because deviating from the topic is not at all recommended in a group discussion. So if you saw someone or a particular group discussing about the topic which is outside the scope of this group discussion, you have to tell them, you have to raise gently that, yeah, I think we are deviating from this topic. We can come back to our original topic and discuss on that, and raise a particular point regarding the original topic, so that you will be getting an extra point. Okay, so you should not deviate from the topic, and you should not engage in this subgroup conversations. So get upset or react sharply, because there will be people who is trying to hurt your feelings. Okay, you should not react to them. Okay? If you react to them, already their mark is gone, because they are starting to hurt your feelings. Their mark has already be gone, and if you start reacting for them, your mark will also be gone. So don't try to react to others. So that's all about group discussions. Yeah, and from my experience, I think most of the group discussions will be general topics, and they will be putting some chances to deviate. They will be giving a particular topic, so that there are chances of deviating from this particular topic. Okay, so you should never try to deviate from your particular topic, because they are intentionally putting this particular topic, so that there will be a chance of this group will be deviating from this topic, and they will also put the topic in such a way that there will be some controversial things happen regarding that topic, so that there will be some people who bring that controversial topic into this group discussion. And while discussing these controversies, we can get to know the original characteristics, original behavior of a particular person. So these things will be intentionally put into the GD. So you should be very careful while selecting your opinion while speaking something. Okay, also you have to make these notes. Okay, particular notes, you should keep some notepad and pen with you, and you have to listen to them and make these notes. Okay, and remember what I told you about the starting and ending of things. So those were the tips for group discussions. And next is the interview. Okay, interview is the final position. Interview is the final thing you will get before this selection for a particular position. So if a particular job has all these rounds, okay, this there is a resume selection round, then there will be an aptitude session, and then there is a GD. Then this person selected for the interview will be very less. Okay, so you are getting into the best possible way for getting selected this job. So interview is the final thing which you have to focus for getting into this particular job. Okay, I just made some points, simple points you have to keep in mind. You can look it by while referring to this PPT. I can share you this PPT. So start by researching about the company and your interviewer. Okay, you should have a particular idea of what this company is doing, what are the products of this company, and what is the interest of this interviewer. Okay, because an interview completely depends upon the interviewer. Okay, we are already knowing the fact that if the mood of the interviewer is not good, then you might lose the job and all those things. So it completely to an extent up to an 80% depends upon the interviewer, his abilities, his knowledge, and his areas of interest. Okay, so if you have something in common, then you will get a better chance to get selected. Okay, and for example, I will tell you one experience. Okay, one of my friend, uh, yeah, he went for an interview. It is from NIT Calicut. Okay, NIT Calicut. It has happened in 2000, 2007, I think, 2017, I think. Okay, 2017. Yeah. One of my friends, he was facing an interview for a top company. Top company means a public sector company. Okay, PSU. NITs get direct recruitment from the PSUs, and he don't know anything technically. He's not that he don't know anything technically, but he's little weak in technical. Okay, but he's good at other skills and all those things. So he reached till this interview section. Okay, interview very fully etti. And what happened is that um, the interviewer asked, what are your interests? Okay, interviewer asked, what are your interests? And he told him that football is my interest. Okay, football is my interest. The interview is for a PSU, and there are a lot of technical stuffs going on, but he told him that football is my interest. And fortunately, the interviewer was also interested in football. Okay, they started discussing about football, and they get carried away for a long time. Okay, from that point, okay, from that point, they got a particular bond has been established between the interviewer and my friend, and he got selected for that job. Okay, for that PSU job. And most of the people, lot of people who had a very good technical skills, very good academics, all those people were rejected, and he was selected just because he told that he was interested in football, and both of them has a good interest in football. So it is better to know your interviewer and also to know about the company. Okay, they might also ask about the company, what are the recent launch of the company, all those things. So you should be ready with all those things. Okay, and practice. Okay, these are the questions. These are some important questions that might be asked in for the interview. What are your strengths? What are the greatest weakness? Why should we hire you? Did you leave your why did you leave your last job? Tell me about yourself. Why do you want to work here? Describe your current job responsibilities. Where do you see in yourself in 5 years? These are the most common questions you can expect from an interviewer. So you should be prepared with these questions. Okay, and dedicate the day. Dedicate the day means if you have an interview for the particular day, you should not be engaged in that day. Okay, you should not have any prior engagement in that day. You should be completely free for this interview in that day. Okay, read the job description, because this interviewer will be asking about particular areas of this job. Okay, you are applying for the particular job, and you should be knowing about each and every aspect of this job. So you should be very thorough about the job description and use the STAR method. STAR method is the most effective thing you can do in an interview. Okay, I had done the STAR method in my interview and I was successful. Okay, so prepare to be asked about times in the past when you used specific skills. You have specific skills, and the STAR method, you can explain this thing with the help of a short story. Okay, you can take a particular situation. What was the task? You can explain what was this task, and you can explain what are the actions you had taken and what was the outcome of your actions. Okay, simply these three things: situation, task, action, and result. That is STAR. If you use the STAR method, it will be easy to generate a conversation with this interviewer, and also you can simply explain your skills. Okay, I'll explain my case. Yeah, in my case, my interview was for Infosys. Okay, yeah, my interview was for Infosys, and there were some technical questions in between, and I was able to answer all those things. And then he asked about my interest. Okay, my interest, and yeah, one more tip that I executed in my interview. You should be thorough in a particular area. You should be able to answer in a particular area. You will not be answer in all areas, but you should be answerable. You should be prepared for answering in a particular area, and try to make this interviewer ask you that question, or try to bring this interviewer into that particular area. Okay, and in my case, I was asked, what are your hobbies? Okay, so I know that I am very good at robotics. I am very good at embedded system and all those things. So I told him that my hobbies, actually my hobbies is making some robotic prototypes and all those things. So I told him that my hobbies are making this robotic prototypes, because I know how to answer when a question is asked in case of robotics. So I told him that my hobby is making robotic prototypes and designing robots. Okay, so then all the discussions, the trailing discussions, were based on the topic robotics. Okay, so I able to answer each and every question asked by the interview. So try to bring him into your point. Okay, your topic, and try to bring the interview into your topic and make him ask the questions which you are expecting, so that you can easily answer and you will get that job. So in my case, I was asked about robotics. He also asked me, he gave me a particular task. Okay, he gave me a particular task and asked me to whether I can design a robot for that particular situation. In that case, I used this STAR method. I explained the situation, I explained the task which I had to do, I explained the action which which I am going to do for this building of this robot, and I had explained the result. Okay, what is the after effect which I will get when I design this robot. Okay, so it was very effective, and I got placed in Infosys from the first interview itself. So that's the STAR method, and the recruit a friend to practice your practice answering your questions. Okay, you might have prepared for the interview. You might have some questions, and you need to answer it to someone. Okay, so you give these questions to your friend and ask him to do this interview, mock this interview. Okay, so that after mocking this, you will get a confidence how to answer these questions. Okay, prepare a list of references. List of references is that list of people, list of professors, employers, or someone like that, who know exactly who you are, what are your capabilities. Okay, prepare a list of references and keep it with you in a separate paper. So if the interviewer asks you to provide the list of references, you can give it to him. Okay, check your online presence and use public social media profiles. Okay, this thing. Okay, this is a recent trend in selecting a person. So after this interview, after having this interview, this employer will be looking into your profiles, LinkedIn profile, your Facebook profile, and all those things, so that you will be original in your LinkedIn profile, or you not LinkedIn, in your Facebook profile, you will be original. Your original traits, your original characters will be reflected by the comments, the post you are posting, your political approach, your religious approach. All those things can be understood by looking in your profile. So it is better to hide all those things, or all these controversial things from your Facebook profile while providing it to an interviewer. Okay, because they might be using this as a criteria, okay, a criteria to understand your what original characteristics. Okay, so be cautious about that thing. Okay, wear a confident smile. Wear a confident smile. Even if most of the people might not be confident for an interview, but even if you are not confident, wear a confident smile so that at least the interviewer will think that you are much confident in the topic. Okay, bring your notes and copy of your resume, and silence your phone, eat something, arrive early. All those things are just basics you should go through. And be nice to everyone. Be nice to everyone because uh, you might be knowing this criteria or selecting before this interview. Before the interview is happening, they might be monitoring you via CCTV. Okay, so it's better to it's a personal tip from my side. It's better to locate the CCTV and try to sit opposite it. Okay, try to sit opposite it so that you are clearly visible to this interviewer, and be nice to everyone. Okay, there might be situations in which you have to help others, and all those things. Act like that you are helping. Do this help, and uh, add little bit acting to it so that this interviewer might be knowing, okay, this person is very good even outside this interview hall. Okay, so it's a personal tip from my side, and believe me, it will work. Okay, so be nice to everyone. Bring an interview survival kit. Okay, bring an interview survival kit. That is the worst case scenario. Okay, you might be missing something. The weather might change. It might rain and all those things. You should be prepared for all those things. So bring all these things as an interview survival kit and keep it outside the interview hall so that in such situations you can handle yourself. Okay, and be a backseat driver. Be a backseat driver means you should not be driving. You should not be stressed out in the traffic. You should not be uh, stressed out with the climate and all those things. Be relaxed. Go with your friend or take a cab and sit relaxed in the backseat of a car. Okay, it's better. It's recommended. Okay, send a personalized thank you letter after the interview. Okay, this thing is also a personal suggestion from myself, and also it is recommended by other professionals because try to get the business card from the interviewer after the interview, and try to send them a personalized thank you letter. Okay, thank you for selecting, thank you for inviting me for this interview. It was a great opportunity for me to get interviewed by these many eminent persons. It was my pleasure being working with you all, and if given a chance, it will be a great opportunity to me as well as for you. And write something like that and send a personalized thank you letter for the interviewer so that your name will be noticed. Okay, your name will be noticed, and while doing the selection criteria, they will be noticing your name. Okay, so that in order to make them know your presence, you can use this thing. Send a personalized thank you letter after the interview. Okay, this is my contact. You can contact me. That is the end of the session. These three topics. I hope I had covered almost all those things. And yeah, thank you. If now if you have any queries, you can ask me. And one more thing, myself Anish Emus, I'm
Sorry for interrupting.
yeah.
Participants, please fill the feedback form in order to receive the certificates.
Yeah, okay. So myself, Anish Emus, I am the Global Relations Coordinator of IEEE Young Professionals Kerala, and also I am doing the Masters in Embedded System in Saarland University, Germany. So if you have any doubts regarding your academics also, studying abroad, and also Ajahn has asked me to share my experience, how I get into the university, what are the procedures, and how I get motivated towards these things and all those things. But we have limited amount of time, so I'll not be able to explain all those things. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me.
Thank you so
So
much, sir. We had received some queries during registration.
okay.
First question. Should I list company names or job titles first?
I didn't get. Can you please explain once more?
Should I list company names or job titles first?
Should I list company names or job titles first? In what in your resume, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Like if he or she has been in many companies and they have done several jobs and he's going to a new company, then what should be the first thing that he should keep, like for company name or the job that he has done?
okay. What is my recommendation is that if you have worked in a very renowned company like ABB, Siemens, Bosch, Tata, and all those things, Mahindra, in case of mechanical companies, okay. So then it is better to highlight your company, okay. It is better to highlight your companies, but your company is not that popular. You have been working in a startup, but you are the CEO of that startup. Then it is better to highlight your job roles. It depends upon the popularity of the company. For example, you have been working in Google and you are going to apply for a job in Apple. Okay, then it is better to highlight that you are been working in the Google. Any job in Google is best, right? So it is better to highlight the company in that case. But you have been working in a particular startup which is not popular among the outside world, but you have been doing a very good job there. You have a very good particular role there. Then it is better to highlight your job titles and your roles there. Okay, that's the answer. Hope it is clear. Next question.
So next question is, what is the significance of qualifying a resume?
Significance of qualifying a resume or making a resume?
So this has been one of the questions that has been asked at the time of registration.
Okay. So what I understand is that significance of qualifying a resume. I think you might be asking what is the significance of making a better resume or a qualified resume. So yeah. So I think I had already answered it in the during the first session, because the resume is the thing which you can make the best first impression. Okay, first impression is the best impression, and you will be sending this resume as your token, your representation, instead of you being physically present in that situation. You are sending this resume. So from that particular resume, this employer will be should be able to know about you, know about your skills, know about your abilities, know about your job profile and all those things. So if you made a better resume, made a better organized resume, qualified resume, then it will be you'll stand a good chance to get an interview for. So that's my answer.
Thank you, sir. Next question. Is it beneficial to be the first speaker in a group discussion?
Yes. I think I had already answered this question. It is always beneficial to be the first speaker, because it shows your ability to start a conversation. Okay, it shows your ability to start a conversation. It shows your ability to be a leader. It shows your ability to speak in an unspoken environment. Okay, so it shows your all those abilities can be highlighted, and because most of the people in the GD will be waiting for others to speak so that they will get points and they can build up their versions out of these points, these ideas. But the first person who is going to speak will not does not have that privilege to have these ideas taken from others. So the ideas and points which he is going to present will be original and will be from his own mind, okay, his own abilities, his own experience. So he will be getting much more points. So it is always better to start in a GD.
Next question. Is
Yeah,
it good to be humorous in a group discussion?
I didn't get you.
Is it good to be humorous in a group discussion?
Is it good to be humorous in the group discussion? I think that's the question. That also I have already answered. it is not so good to be humorous in the group discussion. Okay, because you should get you will get humorous when someone is mocking you or someone is pointing out a humorous point. Okay, you will be getting humorous to mock others. It is very bad to mock others in a group discussion, even if they are telling something that humorous in a negative way. If it is in a positive way, it's okay to laugh or something. But if it is in a negative way, if you are going to be humorous to mock others, then it is not recommended. So it is try to be in a professional manner in the group discussion, not to be in a humorous manner.
So next question is, what do we do if someone has already set the points which we already wanted to say?
Yeah. That happens during a group discussion, because we might be waiting for our turn and almost all the points has been uh, ruled out. Okay, all the points get over by the time. So the thing you can do is that you can quote the person who told your point. Okay, yeah, I for example, suppose Jacob. Okay, I can see Jacob here. So Jacob had put up a particular point, and that the same point I was also trying to explain. So what I can do is that I can tell like this. Okay, I completely agree with Jacob's point, and I had something to add along with that point, and you can add your own point to that idea. Okay, so that you can express your acceptance towards Jacob's point, and also you can express your particular ideas in that area. Okay, so you can do like that if someone has already mentioned the point you have already planned to express. Next question.
In the comment box, what are the qualities that need to be highlighted in an interview?
Yeah, what are the qualities that need to be highlighted in the interview? Okay, the interview, they might be looking for the skills. Okay, this particular skills for this job, because interview is the final phase, and final phase, for example, interview is the phase which this to make sure that you are a good person, because they might have already made the decision from this resume, this group discussion and aptitude test. Okay, this interview is just to make sure that you are all those things which had already been mentioned in the resume. So you'll be handing over this resume, and the qualities which you need to show is that you need to make them believe that you are the things which you had already mentioned in the resume. Okay, you had mentioned almost all those things, all the skills, and in the interview, if they ask some questions regarding that particular area, and if you don't know the answer, then it shows that you are just bluffing in your resume, and you are not the person who you had mentioned in this resume. So be yourself in the resume, and be yourself in the interview, so that you will stand a better chance to oh, get selected. And regarding the qualities, leadership quality and communication skills are mainly focused in the interviews. Okay, they will check whether you have good leadership qualities, whether you are a good team player, and whether you are good at communication, because your vocal communication, your language, your body languages, all those things will be taken into consideration while doing an interview. So these things you should be very particular about your dressing sense and all those things. Also, they might try to dig out something your from the characteristics. So be very careful about your characteristics. Even if you are not that a good person by character, don't try to express that in front of an interview. So that are the qualities I recommend for an interview.
So next question is, can we ask questions to interviews or panel board?
Yes. I think I had included that. I think I forgot to include that. I'll just check the presentation. There is a section. Okay, one second. Practice. Yeah, you should ask, because I forgot to include that in the interview tips. They will be asking you. They will be asking you for this question. They will be asking you this question whether you have any queries for them. Okay, most of the contestants will be doing that. No, sir, I don't have any queries for you. So you should not do that. Okay. When they ask you if you have any query for us, if you have any questions for us, if you have any doubts regarding our company, you should prepare for that. Okay. You should prepare for this question and you should ask them this question. If they ask you this question, if they don't ask it, it's your opinion. If the question is such relevant question, and if you're that much confident that your question can gain you this job, then you should ask this question. And if this interviewer asks you this particular question, do you have any queries regarding our company, then you should other personally you should ask this question. Okay. And you have to prepare for this question also. It should not be any personal question, or it should not be any controversial question. It should not be regarding salary. How much salary will you pay me? Don't ask such questions. Ask some general questions, some general doubts about this company and the job role or something like that. Okay. Or you can also ask something which has been discussed in the interview. Okay. During the interview, you might not be knowing some points. Okay. You can ask, sir, can you please tell something about this point? Okay. Which we had already discussed in the interview. Okay. You can do like that. That is recommended. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. That was the last question.
Okay. Okay.
Now we have a virtual handover session. As a token of love from the MPC family, we present you with a virtual moment for your time exemplary experience sharing session on resume, group discussion, and interview.
So thank you so much. Thank you, Jarin, and thank you, the organizers, for inviting me to the session. It was my pleasure sharing my experience and some thoughts regarding all those things to you. And thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Irene Elsa Peter for vote of thanks.
It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. First of all, I thank God Almighty for making this possible. I, on behalf of IEEE PES MBC CET SB, the entire participants, and on my own behalf, extend a very hearty thanks to Engineer Anish Mohan for gracing your important work and sharing with us your findings and opinions today. Further, we are grateful to all the participants who patiently devoted their time for this experience sharing session. Without your support, this wouldn't have been possible. Once again, thank you to all.
So I will share my LinkedIn profile in the comment section. You can connect me with, through LinkedIn. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. Participants, don't forget to fill feedback form.